forced fragmentation based on Israeli military power. And the Western world, Trump specifically, has already been here, I think, twice. He's really excited. His team has been here like 12 times already. They really want to help Ramallah, because the leadership in Ramallah may not even have full control of the West Bank today. So what we're seeing in this trend is the more and more we become less representative, the more the US wants to support the Palestinians. So I start my talks by pressing the reset button. I go back to say that we are 12 million people. About 4.5 million live under occupation. You traveling around won't even see those 4.5 million, because about 2 million of the 4.5 live in Gaza. They are off limits to you and to me. Gaza, as you know, is under siege. Inside Israel, we have about 2 million Palestinians. They are full Israeli citizens. They are the Palestinians and their descendants that did not leave Palestine when Israel was created. They didn't file for citizenship. Citizenship was imposed upon them after Israel was created. And then you have the bulk of our community, which is about 5 million Palestinians who live in the region, in southern Lebanon, Syria, what's left of Syria, Jordan. Those are the Palestinian refugees. They're the bulk of our community. You also have some refugees in the West Bank and Gaza as well. And then you have the diaspora Palestinians. That's where my father is. He's in Ohio. He left the West Bank and he's outside of the country. The largest cluster of Palestinian diaspora is in Santiago, Chile. There's 400,000 Palestinians there.
Wow.
They actually went in the 1920s. And they are very entrenched in the Chilean reality. And if you know the history of Chile, that might not be a good thing. But they are the biggest cluster of Palestinians outside of the region. So I start with that just to say, if we're serious about thinking through this conflict, which we are, then we have to keep in mind all 12 million. Because we are not fragmented by choice. We are fragmented, as I said, by the power of the Israeli military. And divide and conquer is an age-old tool that empires use, and Israel as a colonial power uses as well. That was takeaway number one. Takeaway number two. As I speak, and as I'm sure you've heard already, and you will continue to hear while you're talking to us, is that we will use a trick phrase. It's called military occupation. And I want to be very upfront with you and transparent and explain why it's a trick phrase. Military occupation is defined in international law. It is the temporary state of affairs post-war. Well, this occupation happened post-1967 Day War. I'm not sure any of you can convince me that it's a temporary state of affairs after 50 years and with 600,000 Israeli settlers on the ground. However, I would claim that the Palestinians are doing the Israelis a colossal favor, and they're very unappreciative of it. We maintain today that this is a military occupation, even though it's starting to take a form of something very different. When we maintain that it's a military occupation, we are aligning ourselves with every single country in the world, including the US, including Canada. The only country in the world who officially does not recognize this as a military occupation is Israel, the occupier. Instead, they'll use all kinds of adjectives for our Western ears. Things like, this is disputed territory. This is an administered territory. It's a territory under negotiation. They are very smart. They avoid the word a military occupation. Why? Because military occupations, they happen in life. We're not the first people to be occupied. We're not going to be the last, unfortunately. But military occupations come with a body of law. It's the Fourth Geneva Convention. So when you are a military occupier, you are not in the wild, wild west or the wild, wild east. There is obligations that you have as an occupier. One very clear one, and that's why President Obama picked this one to be the battle line with Israel, is that you cannot move your civilians from your territory into the occupied territory. Israel has moved 600,000 plus settlers in the occupied territory. That's a very red line. There is no question about the illegality of that move. And that's why the Obama administration, being the constitutional lawyer that he was, picked that one, because nobody can question that one.
Yeah.
Plus, there's common sense involved. You're negotiating with the other side to end an occupation while you keep taking more land of the other side. It's like one of our negotiators once said, you're Israel and Palestine, we're negotiating for 20 years. I think it's tiring after 20 years. And we get hungry. So I tell you, why don't we order a Domino's pizza? Pizza comes in, we open the box, I ask my Israeli partner, how would you like to divide the pizza? And she says, well, Sam, and she takes the first piece and starts eating it. There's many ways to divide a pizza. I'm a pretty big guy, I like pizza. And she goes, that's the first way. The second way, Sam, and she takes the second piece and starts eating it. And I'm sweating now because I'm hungry. And she goes on and on. 20 years of negotiations, there's hardly any pizza left. So Obama said, it makes no sense to tell the Palestinians to come and talk about the pizza if one side is eating it as they're talking about it. That is the same analogy of settlements growing as we're trying to negotiate. Military occupation has not only international codification and international law, not only does it have the political will of all the countries to acknowledge it, but it also levies a responsibility on the